it's really hard to diffuse something into the middle of a big organism. That's why we need lungs and digestive system, for example, to help with that exchange of substances. It is smaller because of the area. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat now because it said, why is it a smaller number? Because of the area. It's the relationship between the surface area and the volume that's important. So it is how big is the surface area compared to the volume. So it's not just the absolute number, it's the ratio, it's the relationship between the surface area and the volume that's important. So that's why we're constantly talking about surface area being really important, increasing the surface area with the gut having the villi and the microvilli. It increases the surface area. We're always trying to increase the surface area for diffusion. At the lungs, when we move on to talking about them, we'll be talking about increasing the surface area there as well. So in that case, more dye would be needed. No, more dye won't make any difference because it's just the surface area that we've got to work with. We can put as much dye in as we like. It won't make the slightest bit of difference. What we can do is we can increase the time that we're soaking it for. That would help. But if that was a real life scenario and these were cells in the middle of this cube that were relying on oxygen, they might well be dead by the time that diffuses in. This smaller one probably survive because it's got a smaller volume to cover. This one would just die. The cells wouldn't survive in the middle because adding more liquid is not going to increase the surface of area that is available for it to diffuse through. So it wouldn't make any difference. Yeah. But if you imagine if we deconstructed this and rather than having it as a 3x3 cube, but we flattened them all out, so we had just one big flat rectangle, that would massively increase the surface area. And if we separated out all the individual 1 centimeter cubes that were making up this big cube, that would even greater increase the surface area. So that would improve our diffusion into these cells, if you like. So it's all about the surface area that's in contact with this pink dye. That's what's important. And with these bigger volumes, it's just not effective. I'll just skip through that. Now, the last thing that we can consider to move stuff across the cell membranes is active transport, but we're a little bit out of time to do that today. So we'll have a look at that next session. But this is a really important trick in biology because we can use energy to move stuff across the cell membrane. So we'll have a look at this next session. So have a think if you've got any more questions on surface area, and I can give you a bit of support with that next time. Okay, thanks everyone, and I will see you next Tuesday. I think the slides are up for you. I'm pretty sure I put them up, but yeah. Bye, guys.